Evening, everybody. Just wrapped up our final race of the year at Rockingham last weekend. A little tired, took kind of the week and went to work and pretty much did nothing else. So today, got nice weather. I'm kind of doing a few things. Wanted to take a few minutes and talk about some of the stuff going on. I've actually want to update you guys on, well, hell, everything. So if you watch previous videos from Rockingham, you know that my old Sporty in there didn't want to run the numbers. So didn't want to run 1150. I've made some decisions that I guess are going to help resolve that situation. You guys know that I was planning on building a second bike, a pro bike. So after being there and seeing those bikes and what goes into them to run that hot street class and then the non-bagger, crisp, essentially the same bike. The level of, well, I don't know if I want to call R&D, but looking at Joe Perry's bike, it's obvious that he's gotten, I don't know, 30 years of R&D, so to speak. Looking at the engines, looking at the way the bikes are set up, you know, all that stuff is not really a problem. It's just a matter of money. Really, I could build the exact same thing they've got. It's just a matter of money. What I don't have is the years of experience tuning and using every single piece of that bike to its fullest potential. Optimizing everything, if you will. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, and I'll explain why here shortly. I'm going to take a Sportster that we've been working on, the one that we've already built. I'm going to use the GSXR front end and the wheels, and this here's the new Molly swing arm. Okay, so all this stuff is going to go on that Sportster to make it longer, lower, lighter, and easier to launch, so I can get better 60 foots out of it. That's one step towards getting closer to that 1150 mark. The other one is, and I forgot to bring it out with me, I did buy a power jet for that Mikuni because with the biggest main jet I got on hand, I still couldn't get enough fuel on that bike, and it was laying down real lazy. So we're going to update the carburetor with that power jet, and we're going to switch to oxygenated fuel. One other thing I learned about my gearing, which didn't really show itself when running 1/8 mile, but in the 1/4 mile, I'm crossing the finish line in the top of 4th gear, okay, with the shift light on at 6,000 RPM. So it's crossing the finish line at probably 6,500 in 4th gear. So that's with a 50 tooth on the back. Now, Mark Laramie is the one that suggested on here that I try or go ahead and put a 53 on it, and I believe based on that I would absolutely agree. I have to order a new sprocket for the Suzuki wheel anyway, so I might as well just get a 53 tooth. I think that'll put me right in the ballpark on the top of 5th gear, which is where you want to be in 1/4 mile anyway. You want to be in the top of high gear. You definitely don't want to be shifting right before the finish line, because then you're losing mile per hour. So you definitely want to be pulling hard when you cross the finish line. Running 12 O's at 110 mile an hour. The fastest pass I got out of it all weekend was when I really got a hold of it good. And again, on a national level prep track, the bike, it kind of bogged it down, I guess. I'm used to running a crappy local track and running a certain amount of air in the tire, and it was almost like it was just being sucked down a little bit. Might be in my head, I don't know. So going to implement all those pro bike changes into the original Sportster, the OG if you will. I'm going to stretch it. We're going to put this old fiberglass, if I can get it to fit. This was originally, it's an FRP, custom FRP. This was made for a, that's an LTD tail for Kawasaki KZ1000 LTD. That's that style of fender. So it's already upholstered. I actually bought this for 100 bucks. It was actually a pretty good deal. Between the seat and the pan and everything, if you would have bought this stuff brand new retail, you know, it's actually got some nice stitching in it. It just needs cleaned up real good. So, but it doesn't weigh anything. So, a couple Zeus fasteners to hook it on. But I'm gonna put this on there. Maybe that black will clean up. Maybe that's just I think that's just the original gel coat. Might be able to take a little wax and try to shine that up a little bit. And I'll go on with the black. Okay, so to substitute or to take the place of the second bike that I was going to build, we went ahead and purchased a turnkey, another Sportster, a turnkey Sportster. Negotiated the deal at Rockingham. I'm on my way to Ohio the weekend of Thanksgiving to pick it up. It is a 06 turbocharged Sportster. So the nice thing about that is I really like the idea of index class racing. I like the idea of heads up racing. My pockets aren't deep enough and I don't have enough hours in a day. Unfortunately, I have to work a full-time job and trying to do this on the side. So the nice thing about the turbo bike is I can tune it to within reason to a certain index class that I want to run. So my idea is I can get this bike to make it run the 1150 index and you know, a half a second. I mean, that's a lot, but then again, if the tune is way off and the fuel isn't right, and you know, I could be doing 2 or 3 tenths better on my 60 foots with the bike set up properly. You know, whatever, man. I tried to give her a shot at stock wheelbase. It was fun. Bike ride's great, but it's just a little too hard to do repeatedly over and over and over again. So I'm going to change all that. I'm going to fix that. And also the shifter got that problem solved. So I think if you guys saw my video at Rockingham where I was talking about that, there's a aluminum bracket that I mounted to the, hell, let's see if I can go in here and show you all real quick. See if we can show you. Maybe I can show you better than I can explain it. Give me a second to get this tripod down here. Okay, so they're right here. See this guy? Okay, if you look really close, there's a second hole. Excuse me, there's a second hole where that used to be mounted. Now what we were seeing was that the cylinder itself, hang on a minute here, the cylinder itself didn't have enough stroke in it, okay? It would shift, but it wasn't quite enough length here to positively pull it in the next gear. So I relocated that hole down and back just a little bit, and it gave that extra 1/16 of an inch that it needed. So that took care of it, because I did that on Friday night, and the second round it didn't want to shift, of course. Did that Friday night, and then we started qualifiers on Saturday morning for Eliminator, which is just the ET class, because I couldn't get the bike to run the 1150, so I went ahead and entered the Eliminator class, and I put, let's see, four passes on that between the 3 qualifiers. And first round, I red lit first round. Yeah, I was red lighting all weekend long on that bike. Anyway, out of those 4 passes, the shifter worked flawlessly every time. So all the things I've done to try to fix that, turns out it was just that cylinder stroke was not quite long enough to pull that gear back, pull it up into the next gear. So I'm gonna get started probably tomorrow. I have to go ahead and pull the wheels and bearings off this little open trailer we got, so get it prepared for the trip to Ohio. It's about a 8-hour trip up there, 7.5, 8-hour trip up there to Cleveland, clear at the top of Ohio. So I got to service this little trailer, make sure it's ready to go. We're not going to pull the enclosed all the way up there for that. We're going to take Misty's little car. It's got a hitch on it. We'll just take this little 5x10, whatever this, I think it's 5x10 trailer, and go get that bike. And so tomorrow I get the trailer ready. I'm going to start probably changing out the front end first on this bike, which is going to require, I'm going to have to buy, and I'll get into all that later, but I got to buy some stuff, a spacer, so I can use my Harley clutch perch on the 7/8 handlebars, maybe even the controls, because I've got all that stuff wired in already. And I'm going to have to figure out a way to mount the front fairing back on that bike with that GSXR front end, because it was made to fit a stock Sportster front end. It's just a matter of making some aluminum brackets and bolting it down, I reckon. It's not that big a deal. But I want to try to, I got to relocate that shift kill box. Unless I can figure out a way to mount that dash that I made on top of the Suzuki triple clamp, I'll figure it out. It's not that big a deal. I want to get the front end on the bike, because I'm going to utilize the shocks that are already there, because in my opinion they work pretty good. Hopefully they work with that extended arm, but that arm has two locations for shock mounts. So I don't know, I want to make sure I get the stance of the bike right, give it plenty of room to drop and go. I'm trying to not put a slider clutch in the thing, because I don't want to have to push it back with a moped or scooter or whatever. It would cost a significant amount of money for me to put a ride back cylinder. And the reason for that is Sportsters, the way the clutch actuates is in the primary cover itself. You start fooling with that, spacing it and all that stuff don't work. And you know, a slider, you're not going to use any of that anyway, but it would take a custom made piece. I talked to MTC about it briefly for a few minutes while I was in Rockingham. It's doable, but it would be an air deal where you can basically apply some air to the slider hat and it grabs so you can ride it back up the return road. Many years ago when I raced KZ drag bikes, a lot of them had sliders in them, and I learned pretty quick that trying to ride it back with a slider was a bad idea, because your clutches just get so hot and they'll swell up and you lose that clearance that you have for that neutral while it's in gear kind of deal. And it took forever to cool them down, and it was just for bracket racing, it wasn't working. So I had to have a guy push me all the way back up the return road. Once I got around the turnaround, I would leave it in like 4th gear and just gas it real hard one time to get it up to the ET shack, and then I would wait there for my guy to come get me. I don't think I want to do that mess. It's just too much work, too much relying on other people. So I think it's fine. The clutch is fine. What I got in there now, I'm just looking for better 60 foot, and I know I could get that with a slider, but I'll figure it out. I think that's it for today, guys. Like I said, just to recap, the air shifter's fixed. We're going to stop the build on the Pro Bike because I no longer need to build it. I'm going to utilize those parts that I acquired to build that chassis, that rolling chassis, and I'm going to put them on the OG Sportster. And I'm going to modify the carburetor. I got some other things to do, and we'll get into all that. I'll post videos on every single bit of it. And we bought a turbo bike, so that should be fun. Doesn't really fit into any of those classes other than an index class, and I might be able to do some local shootouts with it or something if I really want to turn it up and tear parts up, you know, but we'll see. So that's the game plan as of now. Be more content tomorrow. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching and subscribing and supporting this channel. Thank you very much.